my buddy Dash for this episode of Double Take. Dave, I just said joined by Dash, but we're joined by Dash
Talking
and
in
Dave.
the third person. That's
person.
so weird.
The way you feel.
Welcome everyone to the main event of this week's Turin Giants Super Slam. Joined by me is my co-host Dave, where we filter through obnoxious phone calls, make fun of Dusan Vlahovic, and talk about Denis Zakaria and the GOAT of goalkeepers, Gianluigi Buffon. Dave, how are you?
No, it's not the GOAT of goalkeepers. He's just the GOAT. You don't have to add anything else to it. He is just the greatest. I don't care. Sit down Messi, sit down Ronaldo, sit down everyone. It's Gigi. He's my boy. He is the greatest. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. You got the SummerSlam vibes going because you had a pro wrestler come to your restaurant tonight.
I did. It was actually pretty awesome. If anyone knows, if anyone follows WWE, but I had Matt Riddle come into our restaurant with his spicy senorita, but he was actually he's really chill, dude. It's just it's funny because it's almost like I was sitting there thinking that was Matt in kayfabe, and I was really thinking he was in kayfabe. So kayfabe, if you guys don't understand, is even though the show's not on, it's like a public thing, they're still in character. So he's still being Matt Riddle, the original bro, and all that fun jazz. So I had to tell David, I was like, you got to be kidding me, man, dude. Matt Riddle was here, and he's like, oh, awesome. And I was like, fantastic. But yeah, I got a couple of pictures, some videos, but can't release them without WWE's written consent.
Are they touchy about that kind of stuff?
Well, yeah, because they own the rights to the person, the character.
I guess.
WWE, they're sticklers about that, man.
Frankie's driving to work. I don't imagine you work that far. It's a liquor store, right? They're on every corner. So I imagine just around the corner. I don't know.
You just imagine Frankie just walking in with his Gotti jersey to do his shift. He's just like this, just bumping to us in his AirPods, just strutting.
Oh, man. Starthak, thoughts on Semerich on joining Inter? I kind of seen this one coming for a bit. Our links to him had never really been that strong. It was just it was
Misak. I think it was Misak linking.
A lot of it was Misak in the Discord. Yeah,
it was pretty much it. There wasn't really that much. I mean, honestly, with the midfield room that we have, thoughts on it. It's, it happens. Once Rabiot renewed, you were kind of like, okay, yeah, there's not really going to be any purchases in the midfield. So
they're trying to sell the midfield, which we'll talk about. We probably have sold Zakaria at this point, most likely.
Or not.
I was hoping, even yesterday, I thought, okay, this would be the one. This is an easy one, right? I knew with Lukaku, because Dash last week was like, we got to jump on this. We gotta do something. Lukaku's coming. And I'm like, no, this is fake news. And here we are. And now I'm doing with Zakaria. I thought for sure he'd be gone, but not official.
Blue balls. You've been giving us blue balls.
Yeah, blue balls for sure. Well, a minor deal. I thought it'd be way easier to push this one through, but I guess not. The big news, because we've stick to a theme here on the off season. One fact has happened each week. Everything else is rumors. The fact is Gianluigi Buffon has retired at the age of 45 and will be taking the Vialli role with the national team, which is kind of just more like an ambassador. Am I mistaken there? It's kind of just more a showpiece.
Barzagli?
No, the Buffon's role going the Vialli role.
It's a presence in the locker room, just kind of like how Vialli was as well. Because Barzagli's also joining, but Barzagli's going in from the defensive technical standpoint. I guess you could have Buffon there just as a mentor for the goalkeepers, but The Italian national team needs an entire revamp. I mean, it's a mess as it
So-
is.
Sarthak's asking heavy Inter questions. Okay. From that signing, do you think Barella will go, and would you take him at Juve? No and no.
Barella. So here's the thing. Barella won't go anywhere in Italy if he were to get ousted out of Inter. The only spot, because I think Liverpool were looking at him and were willing
He
to
would
give.
go to the
Inter-
EPL.
Yeah, he would go to.
You think he'd go to Saudi?
No, I don't think he goes
No.
to Saudi.
He likes his mama too much. Italian boy.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if anything, he goes probably Liverpool. I don't think he touches another club in Italy.
Frankie works at a liquor supermarket because, again, it's America, and why wouldn't you have a supermarket for liquor?
You don't?
Alberta does.
Alberta knows how to get shit done.
Yeah, they're lived there for 9 years. It was great. I would go back.
Say, what's wrong with you, East Coaster Canadians? You Canucks on the East. You seem boring as
The
hell.
East Coast is like Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. I'm just in like that center, kind of polluted area.
It's like if you guys see a third arm growing out, it's because of that.
Yeah.
Max J says we can bet 3 packs of beer plus Rugani for Barella. Much more won't be possible. I think he's saying we could offer bid. That's what it is. Bid.
I like Rugani. Whatever. I'd keep him.
Walgani.
And Colin, if he was here, he would just say hottest wife.
Yeah. Frankie coming in saying, so he's like, so got a uniform and it's got to be formal and things like that. Well, you can still wear your Gotti jersey underneath. It's not like you don't sleep in it.
Yeah, the Sobeys liquor. Because Sarthak, he's in Edmonton, so that's I didn't live right in the city, but I did live it that way. It's all about the Costco liquor. That was really it. And there was that, I can't remember what it was called. It was on the south side of Edmonton, but just at like a supermarket, and they always had tastings, and they had kegs there, so you can get your growler and fill up, get your like 4-liter jug of beer. I mean, it's the whole thing. Okay, so I'm gonna open up the lines here just in a minute. The main topic here, because there hasn't really been too much news. We did the full breakdown on the Madrid game there. Was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Thursday now?
No, it was Thursday. We did it Thursday.
We did it Thursday.
Thursday
So a
afternoon.
couple days ago. It's been a somewhat busy week. South Common. All right. So yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. So the most memorable thing, and I don't want to like shoehorns like what was the most memorable save or play, whatever. Just like the Gigi is, and I don't want to sound like a eulogy. I know the sounds like a
It
eulogy
sounds like a
at this-
funeral. You're like telling me
just-
too. In like pre-show prep, you're like, think of like your favorite moment of him, and I'm like sitting there. I'm like, okay, sure. And then it's like I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, why am I sitting here about to like talk about a eulogy at the same time, even though it's like he's there. It was
well,
just
the
not there.
career. It's like the death of the playing career in a sense, right? So it's a funeral. In a sense.
Every single save. That's my favorite moment of Buffon, which is like pages worth, like a full saga worth. But just because I was thinking about it, I'm like, dude, it's really difficult. Like I can be cliche and be like, oh my god, Buffon saves in the 2006 World Cup are my favorite, but it's like he had saves in like the 2002 Champions League final that we lost, but there were still some awesome saves. Like Buffon is so difficult to like mark down individially for a moment because
and that's why I said just like something.
I know it's so hard. But you know, the one thing that with Buffon's retirement kind of illustrates is like I think he's like the last true shot stopper. Like, because think about it. Because like for example, I don't know if anyone watched the I think it was Manchester United versus Lens game where Onana just gets belted from midfield. Like I'm dead serious. Someone scored a 55-yard goal from him. Because like this whole new trend of sweeper keepers, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. Like these goalkeepers playing with high lines and don't have good saves or the ability to save anything. Like that happened, like for example, Arsenal versus Sporting in the knockout stages of the Europa League. Sporting absolutely belts a shot from midfield because their keeper's pressing a high line.
Yeah,
so
that was wild.
So you know, I'm gonna say this. I think, to be honest with you, I think the quality of goalkeeping has gone down per se. And it's more so looking at goalkeepers that are like, he can make decent saves, but he can play with his feet. So I want that more. And to be honest with you, like, I blame Neuer more so for that transition of goalkeepers. But the thing is, I always find baffling is some people have the audacity to say that Neuer was a better goalkeeper than Gigi.
Might be some biases there. I would no.
Like chat, you guys. I don't know. Like, for example, I think Buffon was way more. As far as like, does Neuer even still play?
Yeah,
But that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah. It's not to the same because even though it was the second division, he did that because he knew he was going to play it because that's what he wanted to do. That's what was going to make him happy, right? It wasn't really about the money. He just wanted to play at a competitive level still.
And we say that he says he's retired now, and then 2 weeks later he flips the script and says, "See you guys, I'm going to Saudi to join Ronaldo one last time."
It says here on Transfer Market that 23% probability of transfer to Al Hilal, who, speaking of which,
has
SMS scored today
for Al Hilal.
Yeah,
was a shot halal?
I didn't see. I just got the updates on the phone, but he's already scoring for him.
Yeah, it's. What is it? Max is saying Neuer. I know it was kind of the joke I was kind of saying because Neuer usually gets hurt almost once or twice a season and he misses like an extended period of time.
Yeah.
And not really Sarthak says, "Hell no, Neuer is the GOAT," and I'm being a neutral here.
Okay.
I'm
just gonna say Buffon.
Yeah,
I think
I think Buffon was dominant for a longer period of time. Like Buffon was dominant in the 90s, dominant in the 2000s. I still think he was pretty damn dominant in the 2010s.
Okay, well, I'll say my reason.
Go for it.
And this is why he's dominant. And then we're opening up the lines. And Max asking when the next podcast is going to be. It was supposed to be this last week.
We don't deal with
that and crew thing. We've helped out in the past, but that's their thing. We're trying to let them do their thing and we do our thing. So hopefully soon. It should be pretty soon. Rev is ready to go on that one, but technical difficulties. The problem is, just to make it easy, is he's a shift worker. And we're not, I guess, at this point. We're just kind of day shift. We have different schedules. At the end of the day, we have completely different schedules. We can't do it with him, so we let him run his thing. So it is what it is. And once he gets some time and can figure things out, then the actual podcast will be there. That's all I can say for now. Sorry, I don't have a better answer. Okay, now as to why Gigi is the GOAT. Because it's not just, let's look at the highlights and look at those saves. Or look at how perhaps they play out of the back and distribute the ball. Those kinds of things. How many penalty kicks, like Tech is obviously got a good record with penalty kicks. Does that alone make him the greatest? But for me, what really makes a player the greatest is when they start to transcend the game itself. When there is so much respect, when the person becomes a legend and people like look at Maradona, like people will make shrines over the guy, right? So look, he's just retired and it is like a eulogy. People have just like put all this content and we're doing it ourselves right now. We're putting content out to honor the career of this one man. He transcends the game in that sense, but he's done that because of his presence on the field. So it's kind of like a two-way thing here. So Buffon, as a goalkeeper, he led from the back. But in the term of the analogy and the leadership sense, when we say lead from the front, it means you're the first one to go win. You're always out there battling, grinding it out on the front lines of the battle. So as a keeper, he led from the back, but he was always leading from the front at the same time. He had that presence. He organized the crew. Remember that last season there that he played with us?
Yeah.
And he just when he was in, he commanded the line and we played better. That's why he's the GOAT. He transcends the game. He is great as a person, but he is still a person. Like he's still human at the same time, right? So, and that's why we connect to him, because he's human. He feels, we feel their emotion, and he's just greater than the game. He's the GOAT. I called it. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like you look at it, and most people that aren't even Juventino know who Buffon is. Whether it's him crying, getting knocked out of the World Cup qualifying against the Swedes, or even just things in general. I mean, it's just like, look, and for me, it's like from the way that I look at it, it's like that guy has been dominant for 3 decades, 3 long decades. Where it's like, again, with all due respect to Neuer, I think Neuer's going to get forgot. I think you'll forget Neuer quicker than you'll forget Buffon.
You won't forget Buffon.
I don't think you will, because, like, for example, Neuer, you have, his, I believe it's like, what, 2012 to about arguably 2016, 2017, where he was, dominant for that stretch. And even then, Buffon was still competing with him. Because what was it? Buffon made the FIFA best, or the best 10 or best starting goalkeepers in that decade as well. So it kind of goes to show him. Buffon was in his late 30s. So
he played at the top level, well past the service life of any other keeper.
Yeah, because, like, for example, the dominant goalkeepers at that time, Ter Stegen, Neuer, and those guys, are kind of fizzling out, or if they haven't already. Because, like, for example, Bayern Munich's already looking for another goalkeeper. If Sommer goes to Inter, they're looking for Tech.
Think of the greats in all the sports. We look at Ronaldo right now, to be playing as a forward at 37, 38. That there, along with Messi, a bit younger, but the fact that they're still playing, competing, just racking up goals, that's one of the factors that when you say that they were the greats. You look at, maybe the original Ronaldo, will he be remembered? Maybe I'm going down a rabbit hole.
I think you're right? I mean, that's a crazy rabbit hole, because then you're going to start.
Yeah, let's not do that. I just realized as I said that, right? But
you're just
the fact,
this. You're like,
what I'm trying. Yeah, I had to slow that one down. But the fact of the matter is that longevity, that ability to continue to play, and it might depend on your own age and perspective as well, right? So,
well,
our bodies break down at different times, and mine, like from an athletics point of view, I can't go and play hockey or footy or whatever every single night anymore. It just can't happen. It might be like once in a while thing. And to see these guys at the top of their game in their 40s, Jaromir Jagr, if you remember him, hockey. That guy played 90s, to 90s. I think 45. Yep. Well, he played until a few years ago because he was 45 in the playoffs, with so some of the greats themselves. So,
well, and then again, like, for example, people throw this for LeBron James as well, because LeBron James is almost on year 20 and he's still putting up numbers.
Yeah,
again, I'm not
year 20.
I'm not a LeBron James fan, but, like, for example, that was one of the things LeBron James was able to do. That Kobe put in 20 seasons. I mean, the only thing that really stopped Kobe Bryant was his Achilles, but it's one of those things where it's interesting, because we were talking about, like, Juventus legends and whatnot a couple months ago, and it's like one of those things where it's like you have that question, what really, like, throws you in as, like, a GOAT or a legend? And it's just, you're able to transcend the game in a sense.
Okay, so Max say, let's just stop comparing Buffon and Neuer directly. It's hard to make a decision. To be fair, Neuer revolutionized the goal kicker game like no other. More or less made the active ball playing goalkeeper.
I think
that's a good point as well.
Yeah, but they're going to shift away from that. Give 5 or 6 years, they're going to go away from that 100%.
The only real test will be 20 years from now.
Yeah, because the thing is like, there's always going to be, like, for example, if you're an amazing shot stopper, you're an amazing shot stopper. This whole sweeper keeper thing, I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's dumb, in my opinion. But look, once you start seeing how many goals are being let out, and, like, for example, especially if this new offside rule gets passed, I think people are going to be looking more so towards an actual shot keeper than a sweeper keeper, especially with this new offside rule. That
could really change it, because you're going to have forwards pouring through now.
Yeah, you'll have a way more offensive game, way more forwards pouring through, where you can't afford to play a high line sweeper keeper, because they're going to get cooked.
It's going to have to be a lot more dynamic, I think.
Yeah,
Again, and I always compare it because it is a hockey style offside, as I've always said. They do it because it's more dynamic. It opens up the game. And hockey, for all its faults, one of the things it has done well is produce more goals for the game. Make it more open. Make it more exciting. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot more dynamic. There's going to be a lot more shots on night. And I think you're right. You're going to need a big boy in the net to put his body in front of balls.
Yeah, because teams are going to be playing a lot more deeper, and then it's more so just being able to, again, stop shots. And I think that's the same thing where it's like when you're looking at it from ball playing center backs and things like that, that's going to change everything. And we have Frankie live from a car.
Oh, y'all got me in for like 1 minute. I'm about to walk into work, but I was like, I mean, I got to come in, show my respect to the greatest of all time, not just with keepers, but Buffon. He was pretty much one of the only guys who got me into the game, in particular Juve. And I mean, him and Mandzukic were the guys that got me to stay. So I mean, it was a sad day when we finally seen he hung up the gloves. But
yeah, man.
It's about time. The man deserves his rest.
Generational. I think that's another thing too. So like me and you, Frank, are different generations, but for both of us, he was one of those players that attracted us. For me, the national team, but also Juventus, right? He's up there with Pirlo, for instance, because that was the generation for me. So, man, intergenerational, another reason.
Yeah.
And we got everyone's pouring through.
Yeah, no, everybody's pouring in. We started with Frankie in a car, then we got Colin in an apartment, and then we have Gompachiro in a closet. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm in my room. I'm not in the closet.
I have a house, thank you very much. It just happens to have no bedrooms in this house.
You're still in your golf attire, it looks like, Colin.
Buddy, I'm fucking barely lucky to get home, okay?
Well, welcome in, coming in hot.
Yeah, the Buffon podcast, I had to come. I had to. As the eldest guy here, I had to. And the keeper on the podcast.
Are you
what do you got then?
I have a few like heartfelt memories. Unfortunately, now the one that sticks in my head the most, it's kind of like a thorn in my side, if you will, is the game against Sweden. My grandmother passed away in November, and I first off, I'd like to start off with saying I'm not a piece of shit, but I'm pretty sure I cried more during the Sweden game than I did when my grandmother passed. And I fucking love my grandmother. But to see Buffon perform like he has performed and to have the complete lack of support, it was just so heartbreaking. And then I was in the heart of Little Italy for the World Cup. I'm old enough to remember when we sold Zidane so we could buy Buffon. And like I said, as a keeper, I mean, like outside of Del Piero, I mean, he is the one and only as far as Juve is concerned. For me, it's the end of a chapter. Even though the chapter was kind of written a few years ago, it is an end of the chapter for me. And I really, and maybe this is me being a boomer, but I don't think we'll see another one of him. Even with the change of style of today, he would still be one of the tops if he was, say, 10 years younger. I really don't believe it's possible that we'll have another Buffon. Neuer, all due respect to him, is just not in the same class. Casillas always played on Galacticos and greater teams. And then I suppose the older heads than us could argue Zoff and some of the other guys. But as far as our age group goes, there is no other beside. Like, it goes God, Buffon, and then someone underneath him.
All right, Joe. I'm gonna take off. I gotta head into work finally. But I want to come in and say.
All right, Frankie, we'll see you in
Appreciate
Gatti
Sell
We
some
Trust.
liquor, buddy.
Yeah.
Remember, you gotta whenever
I gotta
you sell
liquor.
something,
I gotta
whenever you
sell
sell
liquor,
something,
man.
whenever you sell something, you gotta say in Gatti We Trust.
Yeah.
You guys got to hook him up with
I'm
Turin Giant
starting-
stickers so he can put on every bottle of alcohol.
Starting my own religion now with the Ingati we trust.
Church of Gotti.
We
Church
do.
of Gatti.
Chiesa You got Chiesa still, right? That was always one of my design things, using a church, the Church of Chiesa of sorts.
I agree. Okay.
All right, y'all have a good rest of your stream now.
All right,
Thanks.
Frankie.
Take care.
We'll see you.
Take care.
All right, well, Gumpachiro, it's your turn. What's your favorite Buffon moment?
For me, it's the robbery in the Bernabeu, 2018. He saved everything, like everything. He would have even saved Cristiano's rocket into the top corner, I believe. But then, yeah, he got red, and the next season Cristiano joined us. So, but then Gigi left. So that was a kind of a very interesting time for me. That was my first full season of watching watching our team, Juve, and but I always knew the guy in the back, number one, he's the best. He's an absolute ultra on the field. When he made a save, it felt like all the ultras of Juve were together in Gigi's shirt, screaming. You know?
Yeah, that's that humanistic connection.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and also like his failure to win Ballon d'Or or Champions League, I think it actually, like, the bitterness of that failure, because he's won everything else, it makes his story more compelling to me, at least, because it's like a little bit depressing, which I like, and like I just like when the hero is not perfect, when he has
yes, exactly, right, and that's one of like why Maradona, for instance, is so revered. Yeah, it's a good point.
Because they're people, and that touched us more as Juventini. You guys are Italian, so I'm sure you feel the like a stronger connection in there. But yeah,
perhaps like he's quintessentially Italian.
Yeah, like just the way he expressed himself, you know, how he is. So that's why we love him so much. And I have his shirt right here. It's so small, but I love.
Nice.
Oh, that's perfect. He's wearing it.
Good on Sid.
Yeah.
I'm kicking myself in the ass. I want to get. I think it was the last year he's with us, the blue one, the dark blue with the white stripes. I wanted to buy it and I didn't, and I'm kicking myself in the ass for it now because my brother actually bought it. So I know this is an interesting thing in terms of like transcending the game. Like certain, like Tiger Woods, for instance, transcends golf. Wayne Gretzky with hockey. You have Dan Marino for NFL, and I'm only saying that because
it's okay. Marino's a shit.
He's good. Yeah, I mean, I have my connection because Ace Ventura, but I mean that's for something else.
Say, where did Tom Brady hurt you, Dave? Where did Tom Brady hurt you?
I was looking for something else, but I mean, yeah, that was a great movie.
Well, that's why like it's ingrained in my head because I'm not a big NFL guy, right? But
yeah,
but
no,
Dan
you're a
Marino
Colts
laces
fan of
out.
everything. You start watching the Colts.
So
I don't even know. I don't know what I am
to follow. But
I know, like I'm like sitting here
Yeah.
waiting for Dave to be like, yeah, I picked up the Bucks or the Rams or the
Listen.
Chiefs or the
Listen,
Green Bay.
They were supposed to
Packers.
win last year.
And
what
then you're
everyone
just
said.
like, yeah, you told me, like, yeah, for some reason I started following the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm like, that's interesting.
Listen, we'll reassess. But the point being is my brother's not a big footy fan. It wasn't even his idea to put his kid into soccer. His wife insisted on it. And his wife's crazy. And that's why they're not together anymore. But now the kid's in soccer for good reasons, at least.
You're on the internet right now, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right? But the kid actually he tried out for the Toronto Juve team, so I'm proud of him. He's doing well. But the only soccer anything that he's got is this number 77 Juventus Buffon jersey. So again, he transcends the sport.
I think to touch on what our friend said down there, I really feel like I don't know how long you guys have been fans of Juve, but the Cannavaro Ballon d'Or at the end of 06.
Oh, that pissed me off.
Okay, all right. Maybe Dash and I are thinking in the same wavelength. While I do believe that Cannavaro had a great year, Juve resurrected his career that year, and then he buggers off for Calciopoli. And then you have Buffon, equally as good of a year, but because there's less flash in the position. I feel, I could be wrong, I feel it was less recognized. I also feel that Ballon d'Or is a bit of a fucking popularity contest.
It's always been.
Yeah, I don't think, in hindsight, I do feel that Buffon earned that year's Ballon d'Or for the World Cup and everything he prevailed. And I think Calciopoli screwed everybody but Cannavaro. So
Yeah, I'm gonna sprinkle some gasoline on this because I'm with you.
I love flammables.
Because the thing is like what irritated me was because it was really Buffon that brought Cannavaro's confidence that brought him back. Because here's the thing. Here's one of the reasons why I think Buffon is one of the greatest goalkeepers ever. He can organize a back line like no one other can. That is one of Buffon's magical abilities. Like, for example, you could see it. The games, like, for example, the Sarri and the Pirlo season, you could see it with Buffon versus Tech. Even in 2018 as well. But, like, for example, you could see it when Tech was there, it was a little bit discombobulated. But when Buffon was there, totally different setup. Even though Buffon didn't play as much, but Buffon knew how to command a backline and how to organize it. And I think he did the same thing with Cannavaro. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, Cannavaro deferred to Buffon. And my other issue is hands down, I think 2006 was probably one of the most talented World Cups we have ever seen in the history of World Cups. Reason why I say
will ever see.
I think will, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, you had the juggernaut of the Brazilian team. You had the juggernaut of the French team. You had us in Italy. You also had, like, the up-and-comers in Spain. You also had Germany as well. That Germany team was ridiculous in 2006, and they were at home. And, like, the fact that Buffon, it took hands down probably one of the ballsiest Zidane penalties for Buffon to concede a goal that tournament.
Yeah.
Because, like, hands down, that if that bounced a little bit more in a different direction, that penalty wouldn't have gone in and Zidane wouldn't have scored. But, like, it took an own goal and a Zidane miracle penalty in a sense, for Buffon to concede in that World Cup. With the amount of talent that existed in that World Cup, and he only conceded twice. That, to me, is ridiculous as a feat. And the fact that they gave it to Cannavaro, I'm kind of like, I wasn't cool with it, in my opinion.
And then for him to jump ship.
Yeah. Because he came over to us from Napoli, and he was kind of and we brought him up to snuff, and then it's like the Galacticos called, and he's like, all right, see ya.
Yeah.
And then he never performed like he did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he is a Southerner, so he's not going to have the attachments, right?
That's true.
So.
Those filthy Southerners, let me tell you.
But, yeah, I 100% agree with you there.
I like that Gigi was facing, like, in the 90s, he's facing Batistuta, Baggio, Del Piero, Inzaghi, all those guys. And then in the 2000s, he faces, like, the Brazilian Ronaldinho. And then the 2010s, he has to face again in the knockout rounds and in every final, the two GOATs. So it's like, of course, Gigi is the GOAT because he faced Serie A 90s strikers. And then also two other GOATs.
And the teams, in my opinion, the teams let him down as opposed to him laying the team down.
Yeah.
He always stood on top of his head. He was doing unimaginable, some of the things that he did at his age. And when he was younger, I mean, like, the man is a highlight reel. So, yeah, man, it was a fucking sad week. A sad week for you, Vic.
Oh, absolutely.
I was watching the highlights from Juve, about 9 minutes, I think, of all his saves. And one thing I noticed, and I'm just going to, I don't know, make an assumption here, because obviously he shows up to the big games, but a lot of saves against Milan and Barcelona. I don't know if there was just like a specific reason or those were where the highlight reels were, but from that 9 minute reel, those two teams he showed up against, it seemed like. And I think that's true. He was always rising to the occasion, right? It didn't matter how big or how small that game was, he was showing up for it.
I always thought it was interesting. He always had Messi's number.
Yes, and that
Always
was one
had
that, yes,
Messi's
he saved, what was that, 3 years ago? You played Barcelona?
Yep. Yeah. And then it's like that. And then it's like when we won 3-0 in the new camp, and like he literally shut him out.
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh my God, Pirlo's the greatest thing since Swiss cheese," because apparently they won that in that game. But it's just, yeah.
And we can't forget Tech as well.
Yeah,
And
the funny thing about Tech was like, I'm not even mad. He's like, I was his backup for a season. I'm not even mad about that. He's like, I went from being Roma's starter to Buffon's backup. He's like, it is what it is. I'm not mad.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of how you want to. That was a smart move, right? Where they kind of slowly transitioned each other from forward to backup, right? And it kind of worked beautifully. That Paris thing was, I kind of understand it because he still wanted to go out and compete, and he wasn't going to get that with Juve. I don't know why. Maybe it was the payday, perhaps with Paris. He wanted to get his one payday because I mean he was always a club guy, right? He wasn't going to Madrid to get the big money or Barcelona or to England, right? He stayed with Juve. So I feel maybe Paris was just his, I don't know, his little bonus year in a sense.
That's what I was kind of hoping he went to Saudi so he could get himself a little bit of a check for a season or two.
Yeah.
But that was before it was trend, like before the PIF were investing their millions in the clubs.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was a little bit disappointed that he said he's retiring, because I thought he maybe would have gone and played with Ronaldo or with what's his face? I can't think of him now for some reason.
Sergey?
No, not Sergey.
There's so many.
No, the Italian midfielder that's playing for
Verratti.
Verratti, there we go.
Oh yeah.
Already played with Verratti.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, just to get his bag. Just
and
to
maybe
get one last bag.
And maybe he did have that serious question to himself of, is my body able to even do it at this point? Because he is 45, right? And throwing yourself and just like dropping on the ground at that age, like, come on.
Dude, I hate doing that now, especially on turf, like carpet turf.
Yeah.
Why do you Americans like playing on turf then?
It's not even. Here's the thing, Colin. It's not even like turf. It was just like literally grass carpet over concrete.
Oh,
like
that's the worst.
It's terrible. And then it's like they're looking at me and they're like, "Hey, man, you got to." I'm like, "No, you guys better play some better defense, because unless you're gonna start paying for my physical therapy for my shoulders and elbows, I ain't diving."
Oh, are you goalie?
In wintertime, I have boxes of Vaseline in my bag to cover up all my knees and elbows. So I don't. Okay, so someone's at the door. I'll be back.
Yeah, no, I'm not. So like, I'm more of like a impromptu keeper if I need to.
Oh, okay.
But because like when I injured my knee a couple years ago, the only position I could play while I was rehabbing was goalkeeper, because it wasn't really that physically stressful on my legs. So it was something to keep myself in shape while I was recovering and didn't lose my field sense. So I played keep, and then one of those things where they're like, you can actually play it, so can you keep playing it? And I'm like, no, I don't want to keep playing it.
That's how it happens. I dabbled in keeper for both hockey and footy, and I don't know, I preferred it more with soccer because I didn't have to put all that gross, because I wasn't an actual goalkeeper in hockey, so you're always using the used gear, the borrowed shit, and it's disgusting.
So the thing is, it's like, I'll say this as far as in regards to playing keeper, I don't like playing on the field doesn't give me as much of an adrenaline rush than I do if I'm playing in net. And I think Colin can attest to this. Like, if you get a hell of a good save, or if you truck somebody going in, sliding out and grabbing the ball, like the amount of adrenaline you get from it is like, it's like a drug. Like, it's insane. There's times where like I'll throw myself into dangerous dives or stops just to get that high, because like nothing, like I've scored goals from outside the box, I've scored hat tricks, I've scored 4 or 5 goals a game, or made like filthy assists and all that other stuff. None of it compared to making it like a goal line clearance as a keeper. Like, none of it. I'm sorry. Like, I just, for some reason, for me, maybe it's just me, but like my favorite is like I'll be playing keep, and then I'll be in a one-on-one situation, and then like I'll nick it, or like they'll shoot and I'll nick the ball and it still goes by me, but it's rolling slowly. The ability to just turn around and then just swat it out right as it's going to the line, ecstasy for me. I love it, because I look at that striker and I just trash talk the hell out of that dude. It's, I don't know, for me, I talk the most trash when I play keeper. Like, I'm quiet on the field, but when I'm in net, I'm just harking at people. Colin, I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but
Well, it's because
It's
you're just standing there for half of it, right?
No, I agree. Like you definitely get a high. I don't. Me personally, I don't talk. I don't talk a lot. Okay, so like at this point in time, in my like I'm 39. I've been around for a minute. The referees know me, so if I'm gonna perform the dark arts, that means I gotta shut the fuck up so my mouth doesn't get me in trouble, right? So I don't talk a lot, but I definitely feel you on the whole high thing. Like I'm probably 10 years older than most of the strikers in my league. This is I play old timers and I play men's competitive. And buddy, I love burying those 25-year-old kids.
I
I
know.
love it.
Oh, it's awesome because it's like they'll come in with like their fancy cleats and then they'll be like, yeah, I play here, do this and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, it's one of my things that my dad loves because my dad's 55 and he's a center back and he like goes up against like college level athletes and just stuffs them. And they just like, what the hell, man, this old guy just apparently can do it. And it's like, same thing with me where it's like, I don't look like a keeper, but then it's like I come in and do a couple of saves and then you can tell that they start getting frustrated and it just like puts like a huge grin on my face. It's like diabolical, but I just love it. Like I got in this one kid's head so bad that they had to sub him off. It was so bad. It was so funny for me, but it was bad for him. Cause like he would come up and try to dribble by me and I would just scoop the ball up before he finishes his cut. And I'm like, and then I'd whisper in his ear and I'd be like, hey, what are you gonna do now? Left step over, or are you gonna go to the right? Shut the fuck up, man. No. Answer the question. And then he would just get so pissed off. And then I would just, he would start taking shots from all over. And I could just hear his coach like, hey, you're done. Sit down.
So on Monday, I had a game. And does anybody have children here?
I don't.
Okay, so
Fucking kids.
you know when you're born, you have like a soft spot in the middle of your skull.
Yep.
Okay, so when I was born with a fully formed skull. I never had a soft spot. So like from a side view, I have like a gully. So like my skull was split open and then it formed in between. So if you don't know me, you're not friends with me, your natural chirp would be to call me a rhino or a dinosaur or something like that. Which at my age, I've heard that 1,000 times over. So my reason behind not chirping is because on Monday I had a game. This guy said a few things to me that I thought were less than reasonable. So once he came, he was in my 6-yard box. He said some things to me. I kicked the ball. The referee naturally follows the ball's flight, looks ahead. I watch the referee. I look at my 2 linesmen, and then pow! Elbow in the back of the head. Never said another word the rest of the game. I heard it to the soccer field.
Mine was I had one where the guy, so whenever it's common courtesy. So like for example, if it's a high cross and it's going into the keeper's vicinity, you usually back up and you let the goalkeeper catch it. You don't obstruct him from catching the ball in a sense.
I should play in your league.
Well, yeah, but like the thing is, it's like here's the thing. So here's the issue. So I'm jumping up to catch the ball, and the guy, one of the strikers, puts his foot or his leg as I'm coming down to obstruct my fall.
Ooh.
So I got pissed because, like, for example, I'm jumping to catch the ball, and as I'm landing, it's almost like, for example, if you see in basketball when the guy's shooting the three-pointer and the guy puts his foot on his ankle as he's landing, that's pretty much what happened.
Check. It's almost a hip check.
It's almost like a hip check, but like again, he just stuck his leg literally on my bad leg where I injured my knee as I was coming down. So and then he runs like he doesn't because I'm getting ready to charge him, and it takes like 2 to 3 my center backs to hold me back. They're like, we saw it. I'm like, no, and I was yelling at him like, oh, is this how we're gonna play? Is this what we're gonna do? So next play, it's a couple of minutes later. Next play, so it's a low cross. And it's coming towards his midriff. So what I do is both hands like this, straight through the ball and right into his midriff, and absolutely speared the poor guy. And it's like, and they're yelling, they're like trying to call a foul. I'm like, the linesman's like, hey, went through the ball. There's nothing he can do about it.
Goalkeeper is the only position that you can still regulate on. You know what I mean? Like, in hockey, you got somebody fucking with your star player, you can kind of take him aside. You can't do that in football, but a goalie is one of the few places that you can still sneak those little things in,
Yeah. As long as you go through ball, no one can do anything.
What a fucking resume.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through the resume now. It's a list. It's like, speaking of Costco again, it's like when you go to Costco and you have that 10-foot receipt that you have to hold out for the person at the checkout there.
That's Buffon's title
That's-
list.
yeah,
Also, he won the Europa League with Parma against Juve. Is that trophy?
the UEFA Cup.
I don't know.
Yeah. Is that the same as Europa League, like the equivalent
Yeah.
today? Okay, that's cool. At least he has one then, European trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
he won the Europa League back then, and then I think he won the Inter Toto Cup as well. So he's won it. He just hasn't won the Champions League.
So here, won UEFA Cup 98-99. Best player in Europe 03, World Cup 06, of course.
Did
he was
any of you guys ever watch him live?
Unfortunately
No, I did not.
Me neither. That's okay though. Might be better to watch on the TV. I don't know, like compared to live, depending where you sit.
Oh, who knows? It's always the atmosphere in those stadiums are always amazing.
I'll take any experience over no experience.
He got maced at K-Days. Why are you getting maced at K-Days? K-Days is like Edmonton's big festival stuff. What do you call it? Like the summer fair, if you will. He got maced. You got to tell the story now.
It's like a Ferris wheel, get old fashioned donuts type of thing.
I think I never actually went to it when I was there, but yeah, I think that's an Edmonton thing. Klondike Days is what it means. That's the K.
So Jeff, or Florida Man, we got to say, Florida Man says, "Hey, sorry for being late. Just got done with the photo shoot on a music video."
That's so random, man.
From Tinder.
From Le Tinder. I'm gonna wait for him to come in and be like, "Guys, it's on my OnlyFans." Vlad saying, "What's poppin', fellas? Just came back home from watching Allegri High. I'm Barbie."
Are you trying to say that it was Barbie was like terrorism?
Yikes. We're about to lose our channel. Community guideline strike.
Whatever. Come at me, bro. Hey, the one copyright strike that we had is no longer. We're clean again, boys.
Congratulations.
It takes 3 months when you get a copyright strike. It's always the shorts. The shorts get you.
I know. And then,
Excuse me.
the K-Days being crazy because there's fights like every day.
Wow. Everyone's gone crazy though. I have this theory. Everyone in the city's gone crazy. Like they
Jeff,
all just lost it.
See, Jeff was right. I was right. Jeff says.
Shit show lately.
Jeff
He's
says
thought about opening
an OnlyFans, and then Oscar says, "Hey guys."
Oscar's in too. Everyone's rolling in now. Nice.
Alrighty, so I think we've spent 47 minutes on Buffon. So what Juve stuff you guys want to talk about? Anything that Dave and I talked about on Thursday that you want to bring up, or any questions that you guys have? Because you guys get first dibs because you're actually on the line.
Is that a hand up, Colin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Okay, yeah, go.
My hand up.
Go for it, man.
So like from multiple sources, and maybe you guys disagree, but like as soon as Beppe agrees with the sources, I kind of take that a little more firm than I will other rumors. But earlier in the week, I had read that Dusan had kind of said no to all the Chelsea and the Saudi rumors. I was happy to hear that. I was happy to hear that we stopped searching for another midfielder. We're going to rely on what we have. And this has nothing to do with our game over Real. But unless we're going to get like a really nice return, like Jonathan Davies, or like I said on that halftime show, Cassidy, like I feel you, Dash, that we get this sale and we'll inherit some money and then we can have some for leftover for a player. But like I don't think if we sell Dusan, we're going to get the value out of him. I think that this year we're more set up for Dusan to be successful. And if we are going to sell, because I'm not married to the dude, but if we do sell, I do feel that this year we're we're younger. Our average age has dropped by about 3.5 years, I believe.
Yeah. It's only like 80% of the squad's under 26 years old.
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like this year he's under more of a project that'll provide success for him. So I'm glad to hear that he wanted to stay. It's one thing to hear Juve decided not to sell him, but to hear from multiple sources that the player wants to stay, he does not want to move elsewhere. I think for me that means a lot more. And again, like I don't know. I've said it every time I'm on your show. I say the same thing. I want guys with heart over skill, which is probably why I'm so in love with Buffon. Buffon had his skill, but he bled the badge. He bled the badge.
Yeah.
So it really moves me to support that player more. McKennie's staying again. Like I vouched for McKennie a few weeks ago because I said that he had multiple coaches at Leeds, so he wasn't primed for success. So I think now that he'll have some sustainability, and I think that he's another person that's in that category that's primed for success as well. Even if he's agreed to just a rotational player, I think we're setting ourselves up to maybe we'll have a mediocre Mercado now, but I think next summer, once we've kind of put our current sales on showcase, I think we're primed for a great Mercado next year. And then you'll see the likes of Morenti, Ravella, and those guys really start to really shine through.
And the whatever's left on our books that we don't want as well next summer are gone, like Sandro, for instance. So I think you might be right. Next year is more gonna be where things open up more. I don't think
there's gonna be any flash this year, but I do think that whatever we've done, I think the Timmy Weah thing. It's funny how one player can really flip everything on its head. I think it just goes to show that I fucking hate to say this, but Allegri might have been right saying that he's really hurting and missing wingbacks, because now that we've got a guy with a shit ton of energy that's willing to run that flank, I mean, even though the names are the same, I think we all agree that we looked like a different Juve. And most of these guys have been on fucking yachts and on vacation. It's not like they've been practicing at OTAs or anything like that. They obviously got some time in, but I really do feel that, again, I hate to say it because I'm not an Allegri fan, but I think Weah might actually be the guy that gets Allegri's extension.
Possibly. I don't know if you saw it, but I had those images up on Thursday where I was like showing the lineups and how Juve lined up a lot more substantially different now, more so. I still think, and this is going to be ironic for me saying this, but I still think that right now, if you're looking at that lineup that we played against Madrid in the first 45, the weakest link was Kostic. Just because the one-dimensional that he has. Because, like, for example, if he's on point with his crosses, he's dangerous. But if he doesn't have his crosses on point, he's got nothing.
He doesn't even track back that well.
Yeah. So, like, for example, the one thing that Timmy did that was a breath of fresh air is two things. Or three things, actually. So, one, his pace is ridiculous. Really damn good. Two, his confidence in dribbling, because there was a couple of plays where he dribbled through that Madrid line. He dribbled through Milan's players. He dribbled through Madrid as well. Three,
KB.
He calls us nerds.
His anticipation of runs where he needs to be. Like, for example, that goal he scored against Madrid was a great run by him. He anticipated, hey, I should be here. The ball's probably going to be here. And then again, cool, calm, collected finish. Whereas like McKennie again hits the post, but it falls to Keane. Where it's like Weah, similarly, almost in the identical position, is able to slot it more concisely in the corner. Not a knock on McKennie, because McKennie did a great job reading it as well on the first attempt. But I think that's just Weah's a three-way in sense in basketball, a three-level player. He can finish under the rim. He can, do a mid-range jumper and a three ball. Where Weah is almost like a three-level player in the game, where he's able to again anticipate and go into correct space, dribble players, take players on the dribble, and then as well as finish correctly. And then go ahead, Colin.
Did Colin have something to say? So,
hey, Colin just found it. You got it. Usual. To my previous statement, I think we can attach Kostic to the whole potentially being a part of the Mercado next year.
I think so.
Because I do completely agree with you, Dash. I do feel like he's too one way. And it seems to me that Allegri is really trying to stack up on guys that he can put in multiple places. They're like the pawns that have made the edge of the board. I feel like Weah is one of them. Kostic, as you just described, is a one-way dude. And maybe for once, our office has realized what our limitations are for this year. And they're going to work with what we have as opposed to jumping on whatever big names around for marketability. So I guess the more that I talk to you guys and the more I take a step back, I'm starting to realize that this may be the Mercado that we've needed. It may not be what we want, but it's the Mercado that we've needed, because I feel like such a huge change in culture from BBC and the guys at Dybala and the guys that are here prior to. I think it's going to take more than just a season full of Serie A dicking us around. So I feel like our lack of movement in the Serie A is going to be in Mercato is going to be a huge benefit for us throughout this year. And then we'll be able to make the moves that the four of us have described or talked about several times over.
Yeah, and to add on to the point about the culture, I think, again, I could be judging off of what Juve is posting on Instagram and Twitter of their training sessions and stuff, but the game showed me one thing is it's almost kind of like a team in a sense. The way that they pressed, the way that they moved, the way that they came at Madrid. It was more of a unison fashion where you didn't see that at all last season. It was kind of a scrambled approach. And like the other thing, take it for a grain of salt, but one of the reasons why I think the culture's kind of shifted at Juve is Rabiot extending for a season. Where, all of us, I'm going to be honest. I said it back then. I said, consider Rabiot gone. I think he's not staying. I think he's going to bounce and go somewhere. So, yes, it's only a season. Maybe Juve told him it's a season because of the monetary issues that we're working with right now, and we need to do some adjustments. Maybe that's why. Because, the thing is we won't ever know why it was just a season instead of multiple. So, Go ahead, Colin.
See, this is why I raised my hand, because my mouth opens before my brain moves. I apologize, man.
No,
I really do feel that the 1-year deal was a Rabiot thing because of his age and the potential for success in his career just within himself. That I think he's just like, listen, I love you guys. I'll give you 1 year. If we can win the Scudetto and get back to Europe, I'm game. But if we can't win the Scudetto and I'm not moving forward, at least I have options for my career. So I don't think that was a finance thing. I think that was Juve pulling like a Tevez. We'd like you to stay, but if you don't want to, God bless.
At the end of the day, he chose to stay. So I think that means that Rabiot is thinking that something's going on, something's building here. Again, you can also probably say the same thing for Dusan as well. Dusan rejecting all offers and wanting to stay. I mean, that might be something where he's like, hey, something's cooking here. I want to give it a shot. Again, for me, more so, I want him to show us. I think that's the one thing that I want, because it's like you can do the celebrations, you can do the posts, you can do all that. What's the easiest way to a fan's heart? Perform on the pitch. Like, for example, I think Chiesa shut down a lot of his detractors in the last 2 games that he played. No?
I mean,
Dybala, did you say?
No, Chiesa.
Oh, Chiesa. Sorry, I don't know why I heard Dybala there for a second.
Me, I think he's Juve's most overrated player.
I think he became arrogant, and now he shouldn't be arrogant because he's not 100%. When you get to 100%, again, like the level you were at the Euro, go ahead and be arrogant. But since he came back from the Euro, he was a bit arrogant for my liking.
The Euros are 30 days. Your career is going to be a decade. I could give a fuck about 30 days. Show me that shit every day for 365 days over a span of a career. So, he may have been able to walk with a swagger, but the ego's got to go, because you have not earned that outside of a very well-coached team.
And that goes with missing guys like Buffon out of your locker room to put these guys in check.
Yeah, to scream at him or slap him when he's being
or just
annoying, yeah.
Take him aside and just be like, listen, buddy,
but
this is how the world works.
Correct players, and no one ever even looked the wrong way at Buffon.
Yeah.
Now, to touch on what I said on last call in, let's take Buffon's name out and put one of the so-called leaders in, Pogba. What do you think happens when Pogba calls somebody out? No one's listening to him.
They dab on him.
Pogba, LeBronda, same flop.
Yeah, I could see that.
Wait, did you say LeBron?
No. I said LeBronda.
That's hilarious. I love that.
I just want to answer Sarthak's question here real quick here with aren't Real Madrid linked with Vlahovic? There was a couple rumors, maybe just looking at a loan, nothing too serious. I think they're just kind of putting out the feelers.
Yeah,
But,
it's impendent on the Mbappe move. If Mbappe doesn't come, allegedly they'll look at Dusan as an
yes,
option.
Mbappe.
The only
of
place
course.
I've read that is UVFC.com,
And they're
and
trash.
UVFC is like the penultimate of like clown colleges. So I mean, like,
But is it worse than Gazzetta?
It's just like an aggregate site. It just
Gazzetta
takes
has
all the
been-
rumors and puts an
I
article.
see. Okay.
Yeah,
Gazzetta is an Inter, or I guess technically a Torino paper.
They
That is very
fight for
pro-Inter.
their agenda.
The UFC has got a lot of English Europeans that are just posting shit to get clicks.
Hmm.
Like,
So
Calcio
like
Mercado.
it's no different than what we're doing. We take all the different sources, we read them, we analyze them, and then we give an opinion. It's just
But you
it's
analyze
for
it.
the clicks. Like they just put like every other. There's so many like video game ones I know are really bad these days, where it's just they have the title or like any conspiracy theory one. Of course, I'm not going to put my hand on just yet, but it's just like they have these inflammatory titles. F1. David, if you're watching, you know that the F1 media is absolutely trash. All the articles are horrible, and you can tell that they're horrible because you have to reject the cookies every freaking time you log into the site. So that's my rant on those things.
Dave
They're all
says, screw
trash.
those sites. I hate those sites.
I'm also going to say SemperInter.com from that other individual.
Why would we even go there?
Fuck
we had
Pima!
on at
Fuck
one time.
Pima!
That website, I fucking can't stand. It is so
He's-
bad. It is
That
so
guy
bad.
blocked me off Twitter, that bastard.
He blocks everybody that calls him out on Twitter.
Yeah, and he thinks it's funny that he has no friends. But
And then he'll screenshot you and be like, look at this guy I blocked today.
yeah, just stay out of it. That's-
Only liberals block people.
I think it goes both ways.
Just bomb.
If you're hanging off the edges on either end, you're gonna block people.
I love the effort that Dave puts into like not appearing to be biased. He's always trying to walk that fine line, but you can see the wheels turning in his head. He's like, no,
Yeah,
I'm going to be
because-
responsible and say this.
because could you imagine if
That's
YouTube,
true though.
could you-
They're nuts on both ends. Both sides are insane. Sorry, Dash.
No, it's funny because then YouTube's like, oh gosh, they're a bunch of red channels and goodbye on the algorithm, and no one will ever find these guys ever again.
Hey, with the new bill, what bill is it? The
C11.
C11 there. I mean, you have to basically for this regime, you have to be as liberal as you can possibly get away with. That's what they like.
Yeah, I'm for sure going into an internment camp in the next few months.
Yeah, there's the political talk. Oh man, it took an hour this time.
It did. So, speaking of midfielders, so this is from Sky Sport. I don't really trust it's Sky Sport, but Allegri saying that McKennie is the new signing that the midfield is looking for.
Yeah, I read that as well. Sky Sport, unfortunately, with UVFC, GDS, and there's another Northern Italian paper that reported that. And then Beppe confirmed. I think he said something about Fabrizio Romano was saying the same shit. I think, and this case, so coming from somebody who watched Leeds United last year, or has been watching Leeds United, he really teamed up with his American compatriots really well. So I don't feel we have anybody else on the team that kind of mimics or replicates what McKennie does in terms of engine. Hey buddy,
What's up?
So
so I feel like McKennie is a stay because he works so well with Weah, or has worked so well with his compatriots in the past.
I like
And-
McKennie in the three. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You guys go ahead. Yeah, there's
I like
more than you.
McKennie in the 3-4-3 as the right Metzala type because he can do that. And then in the front three, we can have Weah on the right, and then Chiesa on the left. So it's I also like 3-4-3 better that way because like it can be kind of like a pygmy midfield 3, but changing to a midfield 2, and having McKennie also run in the box like he always does. So like, I think that would help us if we kept him. But if we can sell him for like 25 mil in order to keep the bigger names, I'm all for that.
Please,
Okay,
God,
but-
sell them. Just
So
sell
who are your
them.
bigger names though? If you're trying to sell him, who are you trying to sell him to save?
To save Dushan and Chiesa. Even though it's like only 25 mil for McKennie, you will have to sell more players to avoid selling the big guys.
Here's the thing that I'll do some pushback on. Nobody offered 25 million for the last 2.5 months. Who's going to offer 25 million now? Where right now West Ham is struggling to offer 20 million for Zakaria.
But Monaco is offering 18 to 20.
Monaco.
Yeah, but again, Zakaria has to sign off on that one. I think that's the one thing that's holding it off. But the thing is again, so like McKennie doesn't want to go to France. McKennie wants to go to the Prem. He said he wanted to go to the Premier League and wants to go to a team that's, not Leeds or being relegated. So the thing is like Man United is off the table. Man City, obviously off the table. Arsenal, off the table. Tottenham, they're full midfield wise. They're not looking for him there. Everton, but I don't think McKennie wants to go to Everton because he wants to play European football. West Ham, again, I don't think they've bought in a single player, even though they sold Declan Rice for 100 million. I don't believe West Ham has purchased anybody.
Thing. It's like when they say McKennie wants to play European football. Has he earned it? Like, does his agent maybe tell him, you know what, bro, you're just not that guy?
Well, McKennie's issue is he's in spurts. Like, for example, he has a very good 3-4 months, and then just for some reason he either gets injured or just completely loses it. Because, like, for example, arguably in 21-22, until his ankle was snapped against Villarreal, I think he was our best midfielder, if not our better midfielder at that time.
He was solid at that time, yeah. But like, I felt like when I was watching him on Wednesday, I was over there watching him. I felt like he was like a chicken with his head cut off. Just every touch loses the ball. Every touch made a mistake. Just wasn't composed enough. I don't know. I didn't like him.
But he did the two most important ones.
Yeah, he did the two most important actions.
He hit the post and then he crossed the tin.
Fair enough. On that part, yes, I will agree. Yes.
I think you might have drank too much at the stadium, bro. You missed it.
It was too hot, bro. I'm just saying, it was too damn hot. Oh my God. And the traffic was insane. It took me 4 hours. A drive that normally would take 1.5 hours from Tampa to Orlando, it took me like 4 hours.
Yeah, it's all the Madrid fans.
Time in the game.
How good do the Latinas look, though?
Oh, Latinas always look great, bro. Tampa, Orlando, Miami. Listen, bro, like, you're good. Come to Tampa. Yeah, I got you, man. I got all the Spanish nights for you guys. Don't worry about it.
But like the thing is, and here's one of those things where I'll also say that if it wasn't for McKennie, I don't think we get Timmy Weah, because like, for example, Timmy Weah showcased in the CONCACAF Nations Leagues finals, and a lot of those plays that Weah did to cook Mexico were balls that were fed off McKennie. So it's almost like ironically McKennie was the plug for Weah. Because, like, I remember saying it, too, and I said it on stream, and I also said it in our Discord where I saw Weah play against Mexico, and I'm like, we need this guy.
So, Dash, do you see him as a number 8 then?
Yes.
Weah or McKennie?
McKennie.
I see him as an 8.
I think I'll take it on your bet after I watch like 2 or 3, 4 games with Weah doing having a midfield without McKennie, like, playing with Rabiot and a Pogba or a Fagioli with all 3 of them, and then maybe we could. Then I can give a letter grade and see how Weah is going to perform with those midfielders compared to with McKennie.
So I'm going to show you guys something here that I did on Thursday, but I'll show it to you. And one of the reasons why I think McKennie might be a solid 8, in my opinion. So offensively, this is how we lined up against Real Madrid. So here's McKennie, and here's Weah. So these two, essentially, for those 20, 25 minutes, a lot of the plays, these two are getting involved in. But the thing is like, for example, having McKennie in that advanced role, it just gives you a totally different look. Because, like, for example, it's Keane, Chiesa, McKennie, and then I think – no, that's not. That's Chiesa. That's Keane up there. And then I don't know who that is for some reason.
Milik?
No, this is the first half.
First
If it's
half.
the first half, it's probably
Moretti.
maybe. Or
Moretti, it's Moretti. It's
Yeah,
Moretti.
because Loca's sitting in front of your 3.
Yeah.
So like it's just when you look at that and how it lines up there, it's one of those things where you have that ability. Like for example, look, McKennie's able to drag this defender, which then opens up this gaping space for Weah over here. It's like McKennie offensively can do the runs. Like McKennie's in a almost like because like for example, Rabiot doesn't have, he's not known for his dribbling. He's not known for, anything crazy as far as passes and stuff go, but
Engine.
Yeah, he runs in the box.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the same thing with McKennie. And it's like, for example, imagine if it's not going to happen, but like, for example, say that you have the capabilities where you're able to run Rabiot and McKennie at the same time. You have almost like an overload of 6 players going in at that back line.
But why not? Why do you say it's impossible? Just because Allegri doesn't like to.
You don't have a ball moving midfielder. Unless Fajoli is able to play that role where he's able to dictate play. Because like the thing is like my issue with this game that I had with Loca is like, for example, Loca's passes were always behind Weah. They never hit Weah in stride. The only person that was really able to hit Weah in stride was McKennie because it was, again, a lot more of a shorter distance to move the ball. But it's just one of those things where it's just like you look at it and you're able to look how you're able to stretch it. Like, for example, again, McKennie and Chiesa essentially in between the lines here. Look at that. McKennie being here occupies, I believe this is Camavinga right here. So Camavinga has to watch McKennie. And then it's like, look at all this space that opens up for Weah right here. Like, that is ridiculous as far as space goes. And then this is Moretti that has the ball that pings it to Chiesa, and then Chiesa pings it in this direction. But
that's the thing. When we're playing with basically, we'll call it a 4 and 6 when we're about to receive the press. If a team decides to press, we've got 3 flank or 3 alleys that are wide open to receive. And if they choose not to press, then our 3 defenders and our Locatelli can move the ball up into the back third slowly and squeeze them shut as it is. So I feel like Rabiot can be switched out for McKennie. Rabiot would be the starter, obviously, but McKennie is a good backup to him, and we're not changing. Last year when we made a sub, there was a definitive change in tempo.
Yeah.
Depending on the subs. Now, I feel like the way this is working, you know what? It almost feels like Allegri might be smarter than us, and I hate it.
I think he is.
I mean, I hope so. He's getting paid like what, $9 million a season or whatever he's been getting paid.
I mean, God bless if he is, but it just feels like now I think we had too many talent guys with no gusto, and now we've got a lot of mustard. Might be lacking on some talent, but at the end of the day, some of the best teams who have ever won the cup were teams that had guys like Gattuso.
Yeah, and then like we saw talent off the bench. Like Pog will come off the bench if he is healthy, and then like you said, McKennie or Rabiot off the bench for the other, and then
I see McKennie off the bench. Yeah,
okay, McKennie off the bench, and then Sam to come off the bench too, to just like fuck up everybody.
I'm scared
at the end of the game.
Illing Jr.
Huh?
He's my one. Illing Jr. is still my one question mark because we put him in at Mezzala. I feel
no.
I feel like Allegri's been like a little bit of the mad scientist with Illing Jr. And that's what worries me because for me, that dude that should be Kostic's replacement.
Yeah.
And I'm a little worried that we might not do that.
I hope not. That was bad. I didn't like him as Mezzala whatsoever.
He's always plays with a midfielder, though, it seems like. Like, remember Ramsey getting played as a defensive midfielder at the beginning of the season?
I don't remember that. I don't remember him playing. I think he was injured the whole time.
That's petty, but funny.
I think it was against Milan. He played as a defensive midfielder, and it was a travesty.
Oh, in like 2020?
Yeah, like it was the first couple weeks, like early on in that season.
So I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna show you guys a clip, and then this will also be more so for the. This is kind of one of the reasons, like, really to build a case for McKennie, is this clip right here. So, like for example, this is the lead up to the second goal. So obviously, Tech gets the ball, plays it out wide to, I believe that's Sandro, and then So this is how we're lined up. So we're immediately lined up in a 2-4 formation, and a 2-4-3, I believe. And then it's like, so the ball goes out to Loca pings it to Sandro, and then Sandro takes it. Somehow miraculously doesn't lose possession there. But looking at this play again, so it goes here, and then Sandro's able to restart play again. But look at McKennie. So this is McKennie right here. And one of the reasons why I think McKennie's actually really underrated in a sense. So this is when we start the play for the second goal. So Sandro plays it out to McKennie. McKennie receives it, sees Chiesa getting right, sees Chiesa, plays it smoothly to Chiesa.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And then look at this right here. So McKennie's still from all the way midfield, continuing his run. He's tracking forward, finds open space here, takes it, and then eyes already looking in this direction. So he knows that he needs to put the ball in this position because Keane is tracking, I believe that's 20. I don't know Real Madrid's center back.
That's Garcia. And then this is Nacho.
Yeah.
So, and then like, for example, you have Nacho that's being pulled by McKennie, and then Keane that's pulling Garcia. Weah's wide open. And then this is, again, smart play by Weah. I think Cuadrado wouldn't even understand that he needs to run. But look, McKennie pulls the center back, sees that there's open space here, understands that Weah's in the vicinity. Weah steps in, no hesitation, bottom corner, 2-0. So that play essentially revolved around McKennie.
Yep.
If it wasn't for McKennie, that play doesn't happen.
What about the first goal? Who would you not the first goal, but the one that Madrid scored? Who would
That
you,
one?
Yeah.
So the thing is that's one of those things where there's a couple of factors that. Yeah, so that's one of the dangers of running a back three. I don't have the clip on that one, but
don't worry, I saw the whole thing.
So the thing is like with that one, it's a couple of mispasses between McKennie and Weah.
Yeah,
but the issue is like that's Vinny. Vinny's pace is like superhuman.
And then I think it was Tony Cruz, that was the one that gave that through ball. I didn't remember fully because I was like so pissed off at like McKennie at that time. I was just focused on that moment.
So Weah was bombing down the wing.
Oh,
and he got overloaded with three guys.
I saw.
Yeah, so he pushed it off to McKennie, and when he towed it, like he reached behind him, ended up towing it, and it just like launched to. I think it went straight to Vinny, and he just ran.
Yeah, he just literally. When I saw that goal, it was like he literally like said to Bremer, "See you later." Like he's like goodbye. And
but at the end of the day, though, that was it.
Yeah,
they locked it down right after that.
So maybe it was a Cruz pass. Maybe he did.
I think it was Cruz
that up.
Yeah,
so it must have like towed to Cruz, and Cruz just unleashed.
Cruz went quick. Like he went quick on that, if I do remember, because he's good with the passes. But I do think though Madrid, like missing Benzema was probably their key thing. Like they're gonna have a hard time scoring.
Joselu. I watched replays. I think it was a Spanish one, but the commentators were just like so angry that he was missing those goals.
I was shocked when I was seeing that, but I also got to give credit to Tech. Tech was brilliant when I was watching him make some amazing saves. He was a beast.
Even Pizzolio had a couple good ones.
Oh yeah.
We can sell Tech. We can sell Tech.
Because we have Carlito Pizzolio.
You know, I have to interrupt because we were talking about Buffon earlier, and we're talking about Real Madrid versus Juve. I just want to rub this in the Neuer fans. Can Neuer do this? Let me mute this. So can Manuel Neuer do this real quick? Stop an absolute top corner shot by Zidane.
Buffon's made a couple of those saves.
For me, the best Real highlight is Del Piero's 2 goals, though. He's still the only away player to get a standing O at that stadium.
No, it's Ronaldinho did, and I think Iniesta did too.
Oh, you're talking about
Dino.
Bernabeu.
Yeah. I remember that was Barcelona versus Real, and Ronaldinho had 3 goals, if I do remember, a while back. Yeah,
David has made it
happen.
I think, but honestly, probably the greatest goalkeeper is my opinion, is between Buffon and Kahn and Casillas. It's one of those 3. Obviously, I'm gonna pick Buffon because I'm drinking the biased juice, but
For sure.
that should be But it's between those three. Neuer goes on number 4. I still think he's a brilliant goalkeeper, but
Yeah, none of us here are saying he's not.
It's more so I don't think Neuer's won. That's my thing.
No, I would put Neuer and Van der Sar above Casillas. Casillas, and actually you could use this to the same detriment for Neuer. They never played on a team that required them to do too much.
That's why, to be honest with you, hot take here, I think David De Gea is a better goalkeeper than Casillas.
Agreed.
I think Casillas is on the level of Gigi in terms of reflex and like being in the right place, though. I don't know about De Gea because I didn't watch him a lot.
Oh, this guy's speaking some blasphemy right now.
We avoided one rabbit hole earlier.
I do think Neuer is a beast still, though. Like, I just think I like my goalkeepers to be a little bit psychotic. Like, I don't know, it's something
that you need a bit of the crazy for that position.
Yeah.
You do. They always say it's the craziest position. So I do have the first goal that we can break down that we scored. I'm still working on finding the second one, but here's the first goal. So this one is essentially action-wise. So, all right. So here you go. You have Keane, McKennie right here. Again, McKennie understanding that there's open space in this area. Weah's not anywhere in the shot here just because of camera issues. But so again, Keane and Chiesa trying to do a 1-2 here, but it doesn't look like it happens. And then just for copyright purposes, I'm gonna mute this. And then Keane plays it back to Chiesa. Chiesa sees McKennie. Again, great recognition of McKennie to go into this space. Unfortunately, his left foot is not that good. But he hits it, and then good anticipation of Keane
not
again.
Not a bad shot, though, still.
Yeah, weak foot and stride. It's not, you
not
can't
a
be
bad
mad
shot.
About that. So
I remember that.
And
because
then
I was
Moisey,
walking to the stands on that one, but yeah.
Yep, and then Moisey just essentially reads it and is able to dink it in. So, they win it off a high press and they build from there. So again, they win it, they build a quick play and attack. That's one of those things that you got to give credit to McKennie. McKennie can do that quite well. When McKennie's on, he can do stuff like that, and that's something that you need in a midfielder.
I think in the last chat we were talking about Moise Keane, if he's going to be able to break through this season and score a lot of goals. Like I said, if he's capable of doing this like he did in the preseason, especially the one in the Madrid game, I think he could definitely break. He can definitely do some damage if he's capable of doing this.
Yeah.
He should start then because, someone said, I forgot, that he will score only when he starts.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
Off the bench, he might not score.
Oh, fun fact though. Before I went to the game, I literally just made it in time. As soon as I sit down, they scored.
Oh yeah, because it happened so quick. Yeah, you're lucky you even caught it because
I was just rushing, going like a lunatic. I took a couple pictures and I just went to the stands and just goodbye.
Your guys' stream was faster than mine, so David was talking about it, or Dave, the Giant, was talking about it, and he's like, King scores, and then I was like, oh, he did? Okay, cool.
It's usually the other way around.
Really? You're the one who lags? This time it was me who was lagging.
Yeah,
Dave. Because there's a delay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just depends on your source. But yeah, if I can somehow get my source and then speak about it and then rebroadcast it to the internet, it's usually at that point behind. But
so here's the Vinny goal. So obviously a behind pass to McKennie right here. So McKennie's out overextending to touch it, doesn't get through it. That's Tony Cruz right there on the ball. There's Bremer. Vinny's already in stride. You already know. And Vinny's on stride in his half, so there's no offside for him. So he could be ahead of Bremer in this position, and you can't get in trouble for it. So Cruz takes it, and Cruz is going to split it in between our two midfielders right here and Bremer at the same time. So splits right through two midfielders. Bremer, again, doesn't anticipate Vinny to beat him off the shoulder because the ball's right here. Bremer's right there. In theory, Bremer, you look at it without knowing the result, you think it's an easy cleanup for Bremer, right?
I was kind of shocked. So I saw that.
It rolls right by Bremer. And then again, you're not beating Vinny on a foot race. And then Vinny finishes it into the bottom corner. It's just like Vlad said in the chat, in the comments. That is that is probably hands down one of the most ballsiest passes I've seen. Because the reason why I say it's ballsy, because if any one of these two guys get it, Chiesa's wide open right here. Chiesa's free. Look at where Kostic is. So again, Cruz has some balls to make something like this happen. Because the thing is he kicks it right at Jude Bellingham. If Jude Bellingham doesn't anticipate or read what that play is, that ball bounces off Jude Bellingham because he's hitting it with pace. So I don't care how good your first touch is. The only one that would be able to stop a point blank hard pass from that range is Ronaldinho. So that hits Bellingham, and one of these guys is going to be there to recycle. Chiesa will then shift over here, which opens up Chiesa essentially either take a crack at it from long range or play it to Kostic over there. So the fact that he hits that at that point and gets it through there is insane because he's splitting 3 players, and it is, again, a world-class pass. So, it's one of those things, like I said on Thursday, there's nothing you can do about it. Shit like this happens in a game. It is what it is. You just have to react.
Cruz is a world-class midfielder, and I think Bayern was so stupid to let him go for 15 million euros, if I do remember. That was the dumbest things. I said it years ago. I don't know how they let him go for that cheap. That was insane to me. I think Cruz
it was the end of his contract.
I know that, but for 15 million euros, man,
you don't have any other leverage.
Yeah,
over the last 6 months.
Should have paid him more. They should have paid him more, man. That guy's a good player. He's a class player.
They've got Musiala now. Musiala is going to be 10 times the player Cruz was.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But I think Cruz left way before Musiala, way before.
Absolutely. But I mean, Bayern is German.
No, we know.
Fine-tuned machine, So they're probably in my mind one of the best run organizations in all of Europe.
I agree.
As they fired their CEO and president. No, I'm just messing with you.
Well, maybe that's why, because they had enough of their bullshit, perhaps. So they're run business-wise. They're run well.
There were like 2 years that they were running it. It was very bizarre to me because they were buying. Like, I've never seen Bayern ever spend over 70 million on players.
Yeah,
never thought that was bizarre, especially when they went for De Ligt. That was very, very bizarre.
I think he was always going to end up there, though, because I mean, a Dutch defender. It just makes sense. I've always just thought it would make sense that if he was going to always play in one of the top 4 leagues, and as a Dutchman, it just made sense to go to Germany. It just seemed to me. And there he is.
I'm salty he left because I thought he would still be with us for a little longer, maybe, and then when he's 27, he'll go to Spain. But last summer there was like a week that they was talking in his videos, and he's saying, "Oh, De Ligt's interview, he's not overtly saying I'm gonna leave if Juve quality of play doesn't improve. So De Ligt might not leave." But then a week later, De Ligt left, and it's like,
yeah,
I wasn't expecting.
And then he went and talked shit on German TV.
Yeah,
the thing is like
when ran his mouth on German media his first few interviews.
Yeah, he's like him and what's that one guy, Nagelsmann, were talking trash about Juve's training, and then Nagelsmann proceeded to get fired 6 months later.
And then De Ligt got injured as well,
and got cooked really bad.
Yeah, I'm salty with him, because of that.
My thing is, we got Bremer, made a bit of money, and I think we covered it at the end of last season. That Bremer's numbers,
especially in the future, it might help with the hole that Matthijs De Ligt left.
Yeah, I had a hot take. My hot take was we should have never signed him to begin with.
I was excited. That was so exciting when it happened, though. Because we got the next. Everyone was saying that, like the next Chiellini.
80 million for a 19-year-old center back.
No, the excitement was every time Juve will be knocked out by a great team and great players, the next year we'll sign the player because
They have to score against us.
Yeah, and then it was De Ligt, and then so 2020 I was like, okay, Hassoum Aouar will join Juve.
Yeah,
perfect.
But think about it though, guys. Think about it logically. 80 million for a 19-year-old center back.
That's psychotic.
But that's remember, because we've talked about this as well, where Agnelli was essentially at that point where he tasted the UCL. He was at the final. He needed that next step, and the only last option really for him at that point was buy Ronaldo, throw the money, and get these absolute studs. And then it must happen at that point, which of course we know was not the case. He can't even touch football right now.
I will say one lesson I learned in the Ronaldo era was to play offensive football. It's pretty expensive. It's like the Louis Vuitton or the Gucci of tactics. And you need good midfielders. If you do not have elite level midfielders that are capable of providing assists, you can forget about it because you're not going to do it with Bentancur, Rabiot, none of those.
And that's why PSG, you can argue, never really made that final step because, they had Verratti, they had decent midfield, but it was decent. It wasn't
if you
Real
see
Madrid,
Ronaldo,
it wasn't Man City.
If you see Ronaldo in Madrid, you have Modric, Cruz, Casemiro. You saw Messi.
We have Matuidi, though, dude.
The goat. We got rid of Pjanic for the Arthur, which was probably like the worst deal I've ever seen. I don't even know why, I know why, but it was just that was mind blowing to me.
We wanted to deduct 10 points.
Obviously,
that's why we sold them.
It's all part of the plan.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything we missed from a floor? Is there anything this week that we need to cover?
Bone says we're getting Vinny next year.
No, it has to be like a Champions League match or something, like a knockout match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, it's not going to cut it.
Vlad is saying Allegri ball is like Toyota Corolla, affordable and reliable.
It's not affordable. He's not affordable.
Gotta ask my car.
Oh my God. Maybe I'll be the photographer for Juve Stadium. I hope I'll just sign in an application. I don't know.
Do it.
They
got a whole social media thing. Apparently, their social media guy right now isn't even a Juve fan or anything. So.
I'll do it from the heart.
That's probably why their Buffon post sucks so much.
All of their social media stuff has been terrible. I don't know if they've been slashing the budget on that stuff. Juve's social media team used to be incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was really good. Now it's just kind of half-assed.
Well, you got to remember, they fired like half their people at once. So, yeah, let's throw them a bone maybe for another season or two, see if they pick things up again.
Fair.
I think we all agree, honestly. No Europe. This is a season where we just focus on the league, take it week by week.
I have to ask you guys before I forget, because I wasn't watching soccer until 2016. But so, what was it like to support Juve from 2007 to 2011 when they were bad?
It sucked ass because everybody would troll you for it.
Well, let me explain you this. Have anybody watched the Comedy Central roast?
Some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're the head person getting crapped on, pretty much. You're the guy, and then everybody else is crapping on you, and they're still crapping on me now.
They're like the oh my gosh, see, you guys won't ever win again. You're never gonna win again. You're cheaters and blah blah blah. And then we go undefeated, and we're like,
we're still cheaters. Listen, when you're the best at something, they're always gonna find an excuse. When you're the best at something, they're gonna find an excuse. It is what it is. Like people are just always gonna do it.
My favorite was when people when we won that first Scudetto of 9, and people were like, "I bet you guys won't do it again."
And then they're like, "Stop doing it!
Stop doing it! Stop! He's already dead."
I haven't heard of that.
9 seasons later.
Yeah.
Oh God, I remember that. I remember those years. I remember the Matri Vucinic years. God, I love them.
Alessandro Matri.
Back in the day. Yeah, I got lucky in a sense because it was shortly after that I kind of moved away and just went to like Redneckville where nobody knew what soccer was. So I didn't have to hear about any of it really. It just wasn't a thing. But then, unfortunately, after that, I missed a lot of it because I was away for work so much that I actually, once we started winning again, I wasn't able to watch that either. So it came with high points and low points, I suppose, at the end of the day.
I guess for me, it was mainly the Albanians. It was like all the Albanian people that live in like the Clearwater, Tampa Bay area that would just constantly crap on each other, like the big three, the Juve, AC Milan, Inter, and just be a roast. It would just be roasting each other for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's how it was with me.
You can't be a real fan without the lows. You gotta experience both extremes.
I agree. I totally.
Yeah, but like my basketball team is the Mavericks, and they always stunk. So it's I enjoyed supporting Juve because they're great.
Yeah, it was nice for a while.
Huh?
It was nice for a while because, like I've mentioned, all my teams have been absolutely trash as well.
Yeah, so. Right. Like, so I need a team that's good, so that like not all my teams stink.
Personally, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers are gonna suck, but that's all right. I'm used to it.
We're all used to this.
I'm used to it now. Brady came in, did well, and then now
Colin's an Ottawa fan, so he doesn't even know what winning is.
Ottawa Redskins.
And
I'm a Detroit sports fan.
Yeah, and Detroit. Other than the Red Wings,
other than the Red Wings,
2000s.
Maybe the Lions this year. Maybe
we are good. Tampa is good in hockey, though. Surprisingly, doesn't make sense.
That's because of Steve Yzerman.
You guys are not good. Bettman does not want Canadian teams to win, so we gift wrap bullshit you to teams without the goddamn winter. There shouldn't even be the sport in your goddamn state. It's ridiculous.
Hey,
you guys don't get snow, and somehow you have Stamkos.
I don't
Two franchises. It's ridiculous.
Think of it this way, though.
I don't know.
It was all Steve Yzerman that did it. If it wasn't for Steve Yzerman, there's no Tampa. I'm telling you, if there's no Stevie Y, there's no dominant
it's true.
Tampa
Stevie
Bay.
Y did build it, but you can't trust those goddamn Canadians. Always jumping ship.
Hey, look, he told us when he came to Detroit, he's like, yeah, this is like, it was funny. His first press conference when he became the GM of the Wings, he's like, this is going to take a while.
So there's one lucrative thing, especially when you look at how much somebody gets taxed in Canada. So say somebody wants to play for Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, especially Vancouver. The other two cities aren't great either, but you're just going to get pounded with taxes. And when your contract is $10 million a year, well, you're giving away, I don't know, $4.8 million, somewhere in that range. Or you go to Tampa and you're only giving away a couple.
No, it's no state tax. There's like no state.
Yeah, so whatever the federal tax is, whatever it works out to.
The federal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so of that $10 million, you're not giving away almost half. You're giving away maybe, I don't know, whatever the federal tax is, 15, what is it, 10? Something like that.
It depends on how much you make.
Yeah, I don't know. It's American. It's way less. Is the point? It's way less.
America. We're in America. We evade taxes. We just find ways to evade it.
We just find loopholes.
It's the same as Juve.
And that's one of the things too, in terms of why a lot of people come. Why a lot of people come to Serie A, and then maybe move a few years later, is we have that growth decree, where we can go and spend a lot of money on a salary for a certain player. But after a couple years, it's like, oh, all of a sudden we can't afford this guy anymore. And then he goes to the Premier League. So, I mean, each country, each region has...
I think the only thing I find with Serie A or like the major Italian teams is how usually I think the states own the stadiums and not a lot of of teams own their own stadiums. Yeah. And I think that's a big effect on them.
Yeah, only two teams own their stadiums. Juve, obviously.
Just Juve, right? Or is another team?
I think Sassuolo, I believe, is the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Montpellier Stadium.
Okay.
The other thing is with the NFL, though, is the cities also put in a lot of the money. None of the owners freaking build their own stadiums.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, every city helps to a certain degree. And the economy in Italy just doesn't a lot for that right now.
It's just, so this is a crazy thing. The Italian economy is the 7th largest or 8th, I think the 8th, because they're in the G7, right? I think they're the 8th largest economy by GDP in the world. And that's the drop off of like US, England, Germany, France, Canada. And then you just like drop off to Italy. And it's like, oh fuck, what just happened? You know? So it's kind of wild that like Italy, yes, it's a first world industrialized democratic country, but there's a bit of a wealth gap, right? And you obviously do see that with the EPL and then Spain, because Spain I think is 14th.
Oh yeah.
You know, you see that drop off essentially, right? And then Germany, obviously, they have their 50% rule, and was it 51%? Yeah, you have to have at least 51% German players. So they have their own rules, so it's a bit different there. And that's why you
have to change their league a little bit, the way they structure their league, because it's not doing well. I mean, they're not competitive enough, in my opinion. They're really not competitive.
Not even an opinion.
Yeah.
But they also seem to have this different community, I guess, outreach towards their club, in the sense where like the German people will work to keep the club going. So there's this story, was it Berlin? One of the Berlin teams. They got promoted a couple years ago, but their stadium wasn't up to snuff. So the whole town, or like a bunch of the people from the town, like just started building the stadium up and like putting the resources and the money in just so their team can play in
better stadium. I heard about that. It's a beautiful story. It's a compelling story.
Whereas here in Italy, we have what are they now? They just got promoted from Serie C to B, and they have the same rule. The stadium has to be a certain level. Sam Adamo talks about it in the Bordello in his podcast there, but like it's just they're screwed. They get promoted and their stadiums are just in shambles, and there's just no money. There's nothing they can do. They just get on their knees and start begging the leagues, like, please, just like, and then they ended up playing in a different city because that was their only option. It's like 2 hours away. Jeez. So that's the difference, right? Like, yeah, you can say the German league on one hand, it's not competitive, but internally within Germany, and David, if he's here, you should comment.
If you're going to restructure any of the leagues, it's La Liga. La Liga's TV rights, how they're divided is that.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, Barcelona and Real Madrid are literally making the other clubs poor. So if you're going to restructure any of them, it's La Liga.
That too, I agree. But even like the German league, with the fact that just Bayern's winning like 10 seasons in a row, it's just absurd. That's all I'm saying. It's a little absurd. Same even with the French league. I mean, I don't know. Something's gotta happen, because this ain't right.
The French league's a lot more obvious in that I think it's Qatari, right? Qatari owner comes in, throws the money down. But with the German, because again, it has to be German ownership and all the rules, that just shows Bayern how just business savvy they've been, and they've been able to dominate. Just kind of like how Juve had for those 9 years as well, right? They just had better business tactics, whether they were dabbling in the dark arts or not. I mean, I guess that's just part of the game, right?
No, so. Every big team does, and I think I started to bring up politics, but I think what we're going to see is in the next 10 years, you're going to start to see that the leagues themselves are going to become more and more obsolete. Mm-hmm. It may not be called a Super League, but there will be a Super League of some sorts where the big teams will be playing on a regular, and you'll see Serie A and things like that fall by the wayside. I would say that you're going to see that in the next 10 to 15 years.
And it'll be owned by the Saudis.
Yeah, it definitely will not be. It definitely won't be European owned.
It'll be like UEFA owns 30%, and the Saudis have like 50%, and then there's, I don't know, like some American broadcast companies in there, like NBC or something.
To a degree.
I think the Saudis own the American broadcasting at some point. They're going to be the bigger broadcasting. I mean,
eventually, I think that's a bit further down, but it could happen.
The only issue right now with Saudi doing anything in UEFA is that they're technically considered in the AFC conference, not football for layman's terms, but it's actually the Asian Federation Conference. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
But so that's the one thing. If Saudi finds a way to strong arm their way into UEFA, then you're going to start cooking. Then UEFA's going to be quaking in their boots because Sheffrin's pissed that he's losing people to the AFC essentially. Now,
well, he should be focused on other things and not like smashing Juventus to the ground. So
You should be focused on resigning.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, he's not doing anything.
Oh man, write that resignation letter.
Yeah,
David is coming in though, explaining the Bundesliga. We have the 50+1 rule, which means 51% of the club has to be owned by the club.
Okay.
Yeah. So no.
All right, guys. I'm gonna have to punch out. Maybe someone else can jump on. But yeah, thanks, guys.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Later,
Take care.
my dude.
Let's go. Forza Juve. Bye, guys.
See you, Compachero.
Fino alla fine.
And then he goes on, but the Bundesliga is financially stable because the teams can't do crazy business that hampers them in the future. Yeah, it's just Bayern, and I don't know enough about it. I'm sure there's some good channels out there that would really deep dive into precisely why Bayern took a stranglehold of things. But again, we saw it here with Juve, right? You make
That's only been the past 20 years. I think
Yeah.
every league's gone through the same curve.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry to do it, but I think it has more to do with the Euro and the politics of how the continent has been broken down or broken together than anything. I think because everything's on the same timetable. They're like, it's hard to say, oh, it's a coincidence, you know? You have that where the Premier League is just kind of when they went from, what was it called for? The Barclays, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So 2001 or something like that. That's when that went on their upswing. Then you have the Milan era, and then the Juve era was either way, it's a one-team era from then on in almost every league. Yeah. Regardless if it's Dortmund stepping in for a year or two or whatnot. So I think a lot of it is tied to the Euro.
It could be because it's a lot of things happen too, right? So the Euro coming along in the 90s, but that's also, USSR no longer exists. It's Russia now, and all the states that broke off. Just after the the Balkans. Don't need to get into the Balkans.
Oh yeah, it's a fun story there.
Yeah. So
it is big mess, my friend. Everything shit all over place. Not good.
But once we rolled into the 2000s, obviously everything shifted to the Middle East. You have Iraq, Afghanistan, all that jazz, right? But Europe and North America, the Western world, essentially, Australia, New Zealand, all those guys, it became a very, very stable period. And the money just started, capitalism was just pounding it. And it was America and capitalism and just spend. And you had the Pepsi challenge where you can win a Harrier, for instance. Just it went ridiculous.
There we go.
Yeah, Bush is just coming in, just throwing the dollar bills down, rolling tanks into Baghdad.
Literally, the Saudis are just making it rain.
Yeah,
they're making it rain.
Yes, so and that's the change in the power struggle now these days, right? Politically, if you want to, this is obviously very much scratching the surface, but yeah, there's a change in the balance of power happening right now. We had the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and now, the Western world, Europe, North America, it's shifting to the east a little bit. Well, we'll go from there. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here on a Juventus podcast and try to prophesize about the future geopolitical landscape globally.
Yeah, because you'll get a shadow banned in a
I signed in.
Yeah, and then Dave, you do that, and we get shadow banned in a heartbeat.
So guys, I gotta head out because I gotta grab some dinner with the family.
Yeah, I got to be doing that too. We might as well shut this down. But yes,
I'm gonna head out, but you guys do whatever y'all gotta do.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Oh man, I did almost just go straight down the geopolitical rabbit hole real hard.
I was waiting. Now it's silent. Just silent.
Hey, we're joking about it, but Tactical Manager apparently got his channel just gone, and he covered U.S. footy just out of nowhere on Twitter. He's like, "Yeah, guys, YouTube just like axed my channel out of nowhere. No
Really?
strikes, no nothing."
Wild.
They said he violated community guidelines.
Wild.
I know.
I'm happy I have an actual job because
I know. Could you imagine if we did this full time?
Deleted.
Channels deleted. All
Well, you
1,500 subscribers.
Well, we've talked about this, right? The difference I think that we can offer with this channel is that, yes, obviously we'd like to make a bit of money just to cover some of the costs, our equipment, gear, all that jazz, right? Maybe to do some fun things, giveaways. But at the end of the day, because this is not our livelihood, we're not paranoid about making a misstep and pissing off the wrong people or disturbing the YouTube algorithm. Obviously, we're still trying to do a good job and stay above board and do it right, but essentially, we don't live in fear.
Oh no! If you guys were, if this is your full-time job, you guys would have been like, Colin, you can't sign in anymore.
It's like no, everything's done. But that's the unfortunate thing, right? So you look at some of the other channels, and they're a lot more restrictive with the community, right? Even though this is supposed to be a community thing, it ends up being a lot of the times like a talking head channel, right? Just the one guy always speaking, but it's because they can't afford a misstep in that sense, right? So
I'm not very tech savvy, so I have a question. Can you not have like there's Rumble and there's a few other streaming channels, right?
Yeah.
So like, can you not? Do you need to have a separate account for each and every one?
Yeah.
To have this, would you like so? Would you need to make a separate show per channel, or could you just take this show and stream it across all your...
No, you can stream this across so like for example, one thing you can do, so we've never done it, but like we could technically share this stream on Twitch and Rumble at the same time we're streaming on YouTube.
It's our it's our creative rights.
Yeah. So like you can do it with StreamYard where you can connect to multiple platforms and stream at the same exact time.
So we could, I mean, you'd have to be pretty big to
you would have to
Twitch, or even Twitter you can do it too.
Like because like for example, I don't think that there's that much Juventini that's on Rumble, so like it doesn't really make sense of making a Turin Giants on Rumble. But if worse comes to worse, if
Italy's going more and more conservative, you never know.
That'd be funny. Rumble ITA.
And you see, it's interesting. So I know specifically with more educational style channels like history, engineering type stuff, they've created, and I can't think of the name now, but they've created their own platform of very like-minded channels so they can escape the YouTube algorithm. And it's not expensive. It's only a couple bucks a month. I know it's included with Curiosity Stream as well, which is like $20 a year. But these creators have created their own video streaming service. You're only getting like one sort of genre, but it's only a few bucks a year, and you don't get the ads, and you're like directly supporting, because YouTube takes 30% off everything. So like if you go and donate $1, super chat, whatever dollar, we're getting 70 cents. YouTube takes it all. Plus everything you claim goes on the taxes as well. So yes, YouTube's the biggest platform, gives you the biggest exposure, but they're taking a fair bit off the top as well.
Yeah, so they do what Uber does to restaurants.
Yeah. And that's one of those things. I mean, obviously we need to get back on Partner so we can get thrown in the algorithm again, but it's going to be one of those things that like I'll miss. So say hypothetically, say that we hit 5, 6, 7,000 subs. Like my one thing is like hopefully we don't get a bunch of people that, like, for example, when's the catch up channel next week? Like the thing is like you ever watch, like, for example, the chat on Bepe's stream and just how outrageous some people are in his chats?
Yeah, Bepe gets pissed off with them quite often.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's just like you look at it and it's like, could you imagine if we dropped the StreamYard link and those people would hop on?
Oh,
like the amount of work that Dave and I would have to do just to like sit there and filter all these people. Like one of us would have to have one button, like one finger on the eject button for one when they'd come on. Like that's
But
the
that's why
one thing.
Pepe only really talks. He only has dialogue with guys that are doing super chat now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would get to that point, of course, too. Yeah, which is unfortunate, right? Because I mean, I've been on bigger channels, right? You just try to get a little message out, and it just gets lost. So it turns into having to pay to get your message. It's part of the game, I understand, but that's why the niche channel is the new thing. And it's not even that new, but that's where a lot of things are going because there's so many options out there that people can hone in into something like this. Oh, I want specific Juve from a bunch of washed up old dudes. You know what I'm saying, right? Like, or I want like Beppe who does solo, and I want to just listen to a sexy Belgian accent. You know, like you have that niche option, right?
Yeah, you know, the thing though I do think is really interesting, and maybe we've scared them off away, but like I haven't had someone really like we haven't had anybody that's like one of those like obnoxious Juve fans that's always here. Like for example, the annoying ones that you see in like Bepe's chats, because it's like they're always there. Like every live stream, it's the same person that's like spamming and complaining about stuff and all that things like pessimistic per se, where it's like we haven't had that. Like we had that one guy that tried calling me out and then I like checked him hard. The one guy
that's why, because we fuck people off.
Because it's like, you know, like even when you and I were like talking or guesting on BZ, it's like there was always like that like couple of people that are always just like pessimistic and irritating and annoying to the point where you're looking at them, it's like you want to call them out for it. But it's like here, like we've had a person or two, but we've always kind of like clapped back at them, and they probably just don't expect us to clap at them, and they're like, oh shit, these guys actually said something back.
I thought YouTube hosts were bitches.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna lie, guys, my favorite thing is whenever I see someone throw an asinine comment on a video, I look at it and I just count until Dave replies to it.
It's usually my morning shit, like 5:30 in the morning.
I'm telling you, that's the same time I do my chirping too. When you're dropping your first deuce, the first deuce of the day is for social media debauchery.
Yeah, you get all the shit out at once. It's like, let's go.
And then
I can't go on with the rest of my day with this extra load. It needs to be ejected.
Yeah, and then Bones is saying when you guys get bigger, you should do it through Discord, and then maybe have the mods screen them or in charge of dropping.
Yeah, that would
actually be a great idea. And then I'm pretty sure we'd probably throw you guys in as mods. We'd give you guys like free mod privileges at that point if we were that big, because I mean you guys have been here since the beginning. So, and then
I have a question.
Yeah.
Your website, Turin Giants.
Yeah.
When are you going to get the OG hoodies back in large?
Ask Farhead.
You guys have only for tiny people.
I know.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
you have small and medium, but no larges.
I have nothing to write on. Okay. Let me open up my Keep. Google Keep and make a note.
It's been like, I think I've been around for like 2 months now. And it's been like that since I signed in with you guys.
Okay.
We know what the issue is. I just don't want to blast them on the internet.
Okay, no, we'll look into it. Oscar saying Dash is always so salty.
It's a supply issue.
Oh man,
I am always salty. I'm cranky and salty at all times.
Speaking of salty, Colin's eating chips. I'm starving as well. Dash, do you even eat?
It is that time.
I'm saying I'm hungry. Like I think it's that time where
we're at 2 hours. We're at 2 hours. We hit our mandated 2 hours. We're good. I need to.
Reminder: August 22nd, new game drops. Pro clubs, crossplay.
Is it already? It's August 20. Oh, I leave on. Yes. Okay, we're gonna start that up. I leave on the 23rd to Italy. So I'm gonna be gone for a few weeks.
We need to kidnap Frankie from work.
Yes, Frankie, I got to talk to you, Frankie, if you listen back. Yeah, we need to pro club some stuff. I started thinking about that today, actually. So that's good that you brought that up. Definitely some pro clubs. I'm just not going to be there for the first 3 weeks, unfortunately. All right. That being said, you should have liked and subscribed to this channel already. I don't know why you didn't do it 2 hours ago. We should have told you 2 hours ago, but we never do.
Oscar wants to know where you're going so he can stalk you.
Kind of all over.
Are you gonna be in Abruzzo?
No, and I've never been. that's one area
My
I'm kind of
mo-
going
my-
around it. Sorry?
My mother, she's from Abruzzo.
Okay. I would love to, actually. I heard it's a great spot. They're all great spots, but
Yeah, you can't go
I've
wrong.
heard good things. But no, not this time. I'm going to have to go back more often. It's been 26 years. I've been trying for years to go. Now I'm finally doing it. I'm doing it with my parents. So it's kind of not all what I want to do, per se. Got to
So you're
kind of share the
leaving
wealth.
your wife at home and just going with their
No,
parents?
no. It's me, my wife, and my parents.
Oh, that would be dirty. Just be like, see you,
Yeah,
man.
I've again, usually because of work, I end up in some of these nice spots without her, and I feel kind of bad because I'm like,
Dave's like, I feel totally bad. Absolutely guilty. Terrible.
But she's done the same to me as well, right? So
Vlad wants you to vlog your time in Italy.
I'm
That's
going
great
to a little bit. So unfortunately, by the time I hit turning, when I booked all this, I didn't know what the schedule was, what was going on. So our last game, I think, is a couple days, like the 1st or 2nd of September, that Sunday. I show up on the Wednesday, and it's the international break. Everything's done. Everyone's gone.
That's why you just gotta find Kevin. You just gotta find Kevin.
Yeah. No, I'll try to hook up with Kevin. I'm gonna try to go to the UVA store. The other problem too is the J Museum and everything's the day that I would be able to go which is Tuesday. It's closed on Tuesday. So like I'm literally missing.
You need to fire your travel agent.
No, I'm not. No, they've been doing a great job. I've actually been using it around Turin for the Turin part of it, and they've been super helpful. So no, I'm not going to trash my travel agent because that's Maurizio from around Turin, his travel agency. You guys probably see him hooking up with Kevin when he's coming in live. And the lady he has helping is she's been doing an excellent job. So shout outs to
Oscar wants to know if you're going by Milan.
No, my dad said I am not going to Milan. We're not doing it, and I'm like, okay, I've never been. I guess I'm not going. So. No, because my dad gave me a hard no. Honestly, like us going to Turin is me. Like we're going to Turin because I need to go to the city and try to absorb what I can.
He needs to see if we can find Pogba jogging by the river,
or anything. If Allegri's having a coffee, I'll go sit down with him and have a conversation about terrorism.
Oh, you need to take Kevin with you because Kevin's the Allegri spotter. Because every time Kevin's in public, Allegri's nearby.
Yeah, that's true. He has ran into him a few times. But my family's from the south. If you guys are wondering, most of my time is going to be in the south. Calabria. I mean, Ionian Sea, like hard south, all the way south. Not Sicily. Not that crazy.
Super de-duper.
Okay, I can play most positions as pro, all the right side and midfield. I'm back to the left side or at center back. I find that too.
Said.
You know what? On my team, like whenever I do my careers, my right wings always do better than my left wings. Don't know what it is.
Just tell them to do better.
It's my fault. I need to.
I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, Colin, do you have any last words before we sign this one off?
No, thank you very much for having me. I got my points out. As always, everyone agreed with me due to my high intelligence. And thanks very much for having us. I appreciate it.
Beauty. Love it. Dash, take it away.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Turin Giants Super Slam. We're coming in here watching Oscar.
Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like the video because there's only like 8 likes, and honestly, I expect you guys to do a little bit better, Mike. Especially again to the folks watching the run through. Hi, this is your message. I love you. Just kidding. Please go do something. It's 2 hours. We don't have timestamps. We should probably put timestamps. Comment timestamps on the next video. That's how I know you watch this thing all the way through. But anyways, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.
Good night, everyone. Love you all.